All right, it's time for episode number 251, a candid conversation between two boutique besties that started at the same time, that live an hour apart, but define success and their journey and their path in business in two different ways. I think you guys are going to love this one. Let's talk about your business, strategy, and the juicy details of what actually works, from mainstream fashion to fashion on Main Street and the entire ecosystem behind it. How do we scale your company and do it with the balance and the happiness that we all seek? Let's hear from those insiders, experts, and strategists that actually make it happen. I'm your host, Ashley Alderson from the Boutique Hub, and I can't wait to chat. This is going to be a great one, you guys. Get ready to meet both Somer and Amanda, two boutique owners, two boutique besties. They live about an hour apart in South Dakota, but both, although they started at the same time, have a little bit different business model. Somer, who has a brick and mortar store, was a 2 times Children's Boutique of the Year award winner in the state of South Dakota and now sells women's apparel. And Amanda was also a storefront Boutique of the Year winner in South Dakota and twice in the top 5 Global Boutique of the Year category. Now, although these women have won these national accolades, they both are going to come to you today to discuss their business, the different paths they've taken in business, and let you know why it's important to build your tribe. A tribe of 100 true followers beats 1 million fans any day of the week. And this candid conversation is going to bring you behind the scenes and the things they wish they would have known before they started their business. All right. Hey guys, welcome to the show this week. You guys get a 2-for-1 this week. My friends Amanda and Somer are both here. Two boutique owners that started about the same time, two totally different paths in business, but both from the boutique mecca of South Dakota. Ooh, how was that set up, you guys? So good? Being from South Dakota?
Oh,
and
being from South Dakota.
Owners?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's so many amazing ones here. So, yes, definitely.
Perfect. Well, you guys, I'm excited because we were chatting, I guess, before we started to record. And for the last couple of weeks, actually, just about this conversation as a whole, that so many times online, we get lost in this idea of keeping up with the Joneses and seeing other boutique owners grow to certain levels or growing big online versus storefronts, or they have multiple storefronts. And we're always putting our measurement of success on what other people are posting online. But you guys have such a great story. Again, you're from South Dakota. You're about an hour apart from one another, two different paths, and you support one another. And you're here to talk about why bigger isn't always better, but better is better in definition of what your own personal journey is, correct? Tell me more about that conversation that the two of you have had.
I missed that question. Sorry. Can you repeat it?
Oh, just tell me more about the conversation that the two of you have had about your own individual journeys.
I think early on, Somer and I honestly, I don't even remember how her and I first started talking. We've been talking for feels like years now. But I think the awesome thing is even though, like you said, we're on definitely I mean, we have had different paths. We're in different places in our businesses. We still have so much there's so many similarities in everything that we go through, situations we have. It's just the differences, I'm sorry, the similarities definitely outweigh the differences, even though like I said, business is definitely different for both of us. I'm more online and Somer is definitely, she excels more in her store. And but at the end of the day, even though, I mean, like I said, there's so many differences, the similarities definitely outweigh. Summary, maybe you should help out with that one too.
Yeah, I mean, I think our styles are very similar, and I think just the way we want our store to be perceived is very similar. Like, we're just very have a very big work ethic, and our customers are our biggest priority. We know that they're the ones that are making us go, and we're kind of just here for them, to cater to them, and we're always just open and honest. I feel like it's very similar in our personality too. We just kind of, we tell our customers how it is. I never want anyone in my store to leave when I know maybe that shirt is too big or your jeans aren't fitting right, because that's a reflection on me when they walk out the door. I want them to feel good when they leave so that they come back. And I think that's
Definitely.
kind of very similar of how we both run our stores.
For sure. Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't even like to, it almost bothers me sometimes when I say the word customer if I'm typing anything in like my group, like, "Oh, I have the best customers." I don't, it's because to me, I don't think customer is the right word to call the people who have supported me. I'd rather call them supporters. I'd rather call them friends. I'd rather call them family, because customer just seems so generic and not, I don't know, it just doesn't have that feel good feeling behind it. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but I don't even like to do it. So yeah, I think Summer and I definitely are both similar in that aspect where we definitely care. Sometimes I feel like maybe I don't know if it's I don't know if it's possible to care too much, but sometimes we let things get to us, I think, a little more than we should, because we just want people to be happy so bad. And I feel like I mean, a lot of people are like that because this is our baby and we just want everybody to love your baby. But yeah, it's definitely been a crazy journey, but love every minute of it.
Yeah.
So true. And you guys have built such a strong community around both of your brands. I'm curious to hear more of the backstory. So, you both are friends, you're both boutique owners from the same area, you support each other in community over competition. I want to hear about how your journeys are a little bit different and how they each got started. So, Summer, talk to me first about how you started your boutique.
So my initial boutique started in 2014, same as Amanda, but my story kind of started basically when I had my first child, Isabel. She's 12 now. But I've always been a crafter my whole life. And after I had her, I wanted those adorable baby pictures that, were all over Etsy. Etsy was like probably just started by then. And it was the big frilly tutus with the matching hair bows and the onesies and all that. And so I'm like, I can make that. And so I did. I started making that stuff and I'd post it on Facebook because back then you could post one thing and every friend that you had would see it. Started getting orders. I did a ton of shows, and Madison was just kind of where I kept coming back to. The community was always just so great. They were so supportive, and I just got to really know a lot of people through my craft shows in Madison. So I had an abundance of um, product and stuff that I just needed to get rid of more than just in one craft show. And so I wanted to do a pop up store here. And so I found a little building and I did a pop up, and I did it for 4 days. And at the end of my 4 days, customers kept coming to me and saying, "You're leaving?" And I'm like, "Oh." And that was when the light bulb went off. I seen that huge need, that there really wasn't anything in our community, especially for kids stuff, because that's where I started. Um, and so I figured out how to stay, and that progressed into a few months later where people were asking, "Are you going to ever have women's clothes?" And that was another light bulb, like, "Oh, you want me to pick out clothes for you?" I didn't know at the time if I could do it, because I just felt like women were super picky about their clothes, because I was, and I was kind of terrified to pick out things. But I did, and I started with a few things, and it would sell out. And so then I was only open one weekend a month when I had first decided to stay. So I would, post it on Facebook when we were going to be open, and I would use the money that I had earned from the time before to put more product in, and I would expand my women's each time, and it kept just selling out. And so I'm like, gosh, I want my own store and I want to be open all the time. And so that kind of led into us finding a space downtown. And I scoped out this really actually awful, ugly space that got overlooked for years.
Perfect.
It was just like a storage space, and it was really about to fall down. But my husband and I renovated our 3-story farmhouse, so I knew that this was something that we could do. So we bought it and we spent 4 months tearing it out and restarting over, and now I'm open Monday through Saturday. So
Awesome. So it definitely worked out creating your own space and building your own community And Madison, how big is Madison? Just to kind of give people an idea.
It's a little over 7,000.
Okay, perfect. All right, Amanda, tell me more about how you got your business started.
Oh gosh. 6 years ago, it was kind of a crazy time. That's when we started in 2014. It was June. And so my husband and I actually adopted a baby in December. So it would have just been about 6 months prior to me opening Beautique. And when I knew, well, at least I thought when we adopted Micah, his name, he's 6 now, but when we adopted him, I assumed he would be our last. And I have 2 other kids that I wasn't able to stay home with them when they were born. And I think it was just a dream of mine to be able to stay home with Micah. I just wanted to stay home, however, I didn't know how I was going to do it. I just wanted to make it work somehow. So I feel like my whole life, I've always wanted to own my own business. And I went through quite a few ideas on what I could do. Some were so silly, and I'm so happy I didn't take those paths or even try. So I think it would have been a big waste of time and money, but I just didn't really have anything that I was super passionate about yet that I really felt would be my niche. And I started shopping online at a couple different boutiques, and then there was some locally popping up, and I'm just like, gosh, nobody in my small town has a store, or we don't have any boutiques here. The closest place to buy clothing to where I am is, I guess Kohl's or Target. So I saw the need there, locally. And I think one thing that I feel like over my life, I've always let fear kind of go into play when trying to make a big decision. And a lot of times I would just back out of things without even trying because I didn't want to fail. But with this, I knew I wanted to try it. And if it failed, it failed. At least I could say I tried. If it worked, great. I got to stay home with Micah. So a funny thing, I didn't really get out to stay home with him because wasn't too long after I started my website online only. But it was, gosh, I think maybe just 5 months before I quit my job that I was at, and then I opened a storefront. And so my husband and I got a storefront completely. We got it ready. And I was in that location for 3 years before we grew out of it. And I got our second store, or not our second store, just our new store. And we've been there now for 3 years. And then with our online, that kept on going well. And we got our first warehouse last summer. And then it wasn't this past summer, it was the summer before. So we were there for a year before we moved into our current warehouse. So yeah, it's just, when I talk about it within a span of a couple minutes, it seems crazy because it's been 6 years and it's just been such a wild ride and such a roller coaster. But I'm very thankful that it all worked out, and I'm very happy that I didn't let fear stand in the way of giving it a shot. And yeah, here I am today.
I love that you both kind of had your own ideas of what you wanted to create and different reasons, right? But your path has turned out to be different. Like Somer
Right.
having, you have more focus on your storefront, and Amanda, do you still have some focus on your storefront, but really online is your baby, correct?
Online is my baby. And I wouldn't lie if I said gosh, our lease just renewed, and there's been so many times that I'm like, I wish I could focus on one thing, but right now where I am, there's us and 2 other boutiques, and we're all very different from one another, which is great for the community because they have options. So I just, oh gosh, it would be so hard to close my store, even though someday it would be nice to just focus on one thing, and really try to expand on that. But as long as the store is profitable, it'd be silly, I think, to close it, because we have such a great community with the support that we've gotten, and and everything. So yeah, I do both, but online is where I personally am at. I have a store manager and employees at the store who kind of focus on the store and made that their baby.
Awesome. Summer, talk to me about how, you and Amanda both, you're friends, you live locally, and we talk a lot in the hub about what it means to be in community over competition and what it means to have a boutique bestie. But tell me more about your guys' relationship and how you work together, and maybe even how other boutiques in the area work together, because there are so many boutiques in South Dakota, and
Yes.
I'm sure there's other boutique owners that can relate to that.
I mean, if I could start, I would. One thing that I think has been amazing is the local boutiques that we have here. I feel like I mean, the community over competition is so strong here. I met Summer. We met at Katie Lutman with Mason Jar. We met at her event, right? That's how we met. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, because I'm like, I know I've been talking to you for so long, but it's hard to remember, like, well, where did I initially meet her? So yeah, another boutique owner she kind of had we would do monthly meetups, and she had a couple events, and that's how Summer and I met. And there's so I could just go on and on about with names of people that I talk to locally, and it's just amazing the support that we have for one another, and a good shoulder to cry on, and an ear to vent to, and it's been amazing.
I agree with that. And even in our community too, I think it kind of started for us a couple years ago. There was a couple. I was kind of the first boutique, I guess, in our community, and I think the same with Amanda. I think that's kind of maybe why we feel so strongly about our supporters the most, is because they supported us kind of initially when they didn't have anything else to support. So I think we just feel so strongly like they are friends and family to us, because they kind of had our back at the very beginning. And then as more and more boutiques and stores opened up here, we just feel like we need to hold on to them and just feel so thankful that they're here for us. But I think when we kind of came together as boutiques in my community was a couple years ago, when I just kind of reached out and said, hey, let's do a sip and shop. And our community just loved that so much. And now we do them quite often. We kind of do them about 4 times a year, actually. And the community just loves it that we all come together, and we have a lot of fun with them. And we just kind of offer gift basket giveaways or gift cards, or we do coupons sometimes, or you stamp them. And, if they visit all of the places, they could maybe get another gift card or something like that. So but then going further through the community, just like Amanda said, when we got together at that group meeting a few years ago, we all follow each other, and, we'll like each other's stuff, and, comment, and just, we know what it means to help each other out just with one like and a comment, how it boosts the post for us. So just something as simple as that, we support each other with. And then just going further with, asking each other questions, and, like Amanda said, a shoulder to cry on, or someone to vent to, anything like that has been great too.
Man, absolutely. Makes it so much easier when you have one another to rely on, right?
Yeah, definitely. I don't know I know there's some boutique owners out there who just, I mean, and staying in your own lane is great. And sometimes I could see maybe how, if you have too many boutique besties, how their ideas or differences might get in the way of you being in your own lane. And so I know there are some owners out there who just keep to themselves. I mean, it's not that they're not about community versus competition. They just don't want anything clouding their path. And that's totally fine too. But I think, and I guess it's just up to, how you are personally, but I find so much comfort knowing that I have so many people that I can reach out to if I need to.
Absolutely. I'm sure you both feel like since you started and you have each other, right, and you have these conversations, there's been many ups and downs in business. And because you both kind of are on different paths, I want to go here. Talk to me about one of the biggest struggles that you faced along your journey so far and how you handled it.
For me, I guess one is, we're growing, but we're growing on a smaller scale. So from where I started, we have definitely outgrown our store, but we're just kind of still here making it work. But employees are so hard, just trying to find that perfect employee that can do all the things that you need, because when you're small, I don't have the hours to offer a full-time position to every position that I have open that I'm needing. So that's been a big struggle for me. And then also trying to grow and getting yourself hooked into some of these marketing firms that, offer all these things and get you in this big contract. And at the end of it, they have done really nothing for you. So that was a big, huge struggle for us last year when we got ourselves roped into something like that. But we are out of contract and we made it through it. And obviously I've learned a lot from it. And Amanda and I were talking, and it's just, I think the most important thing is in business is learning everything about your business yourself first, and then teaching someone else to do it. That has been a big, huge factor, I think.
And yeah, I feel like last week when Somer and I met up to talk about the podcast, we had this plan to meet up, and we were going to go through our plan and everything. And then by the time our meeting was done and I had to go to another meeting, I was like, well, I don't really feel like we got anything about the podcast figured out, because we ended up just like talking about business and like, she was talking about getting stuck in that contract. And like one thing that I feel like after going to a couple of Rachel Hollis events, I'm like, if you can figure out how to do it on your own by Google searching it or something, like try your best to do something on your own before you reach out to other people to do things for you, because I've had to learn that the hard way too. I feel like anybody in this industry has probably gotten themselves into a situation like that where they trusted, whether it be a marketing firm or whoever it was, they got roped into a contract, or they got roped into just something just crazy expensive for somebody to do something for them that they probably didn't really get a lot of return on investment on, or they just really didn't get anything out of it other than just a waste of time and money. So yeah, we talked a lot about that. And I feel like one thing from my experience, to be able to tell, just to talk to Somer about that, or it's just, you have to go through those things. You have to fail. And I think that just creates, you learn so much. And by failing at things, I feel like it's a necessity. If you want to be successful, you have to fail. And Ashley, but for one thing that I want to mention to you is, I think it was the first summit when Kelsey Darby spoke, and then last year when Red Dress spoke. And one thing that's stuck out to me so much in hearing them speak was their failure that they went through, and how they basically had to just start over, like wipe it clean and start over. And you have no idea how many times it's gotten me through just these negative thoughts in my mind, like, oh my gosh, I don't know how I'm going to get out of this. Why did I do this? Why, just why? And just knowing that the failure and the mistakes are all part of the process, and learning and growing is so important, because how are you going to learn how to be better unless you mess up? Like, it's just impossible. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's been my biggest thing, is like bigger. And we've touched on it, but bigger isn't always better. Smarter is better. And I wish I could hear myself say that 6 years ago, before I made all the little mistakes. Well, not really. All of them weren't very little. Some of them were pretty big, but I wish I could have told myself that then.
Exactly what you're saying is so spot on, about this idea, keeping up with the Joneses and feeling like there's a magic bullet. And Somer, I think that's probably what you were feeling a little bit of, is feeling like, well, certainly someone must know more than me, and someone can help get me to this goal quicker if I just hire them, or I give them this money, or, there's always this thought process that, we're new to this business and someone must know more, so they're going to get us to point A to point B a lot faster. But that's not the truth. Just like you were saying, Amanda, it's faster and more secure in the long run if we figure it out. And then we start to outsource it to our team. We start to hand it off and have someone in-house start to take on some of that burden for you. So Amanda, back to you. I know we were kind of talking about this before we started to record, but when it comes to scaling, right? Any business wants to grow. one issue that so many businesses can run into, kind of like this outsourcing to different contractors, is also taking on too much debt and feeling like you have to scale your inventory and tie up all of your cash. And, the race to the bottom of just trying to get bigger and bigger and bigger. I know you've had some experience with that. So can you tell me about that process and what you've learned?
I feel like I'm an expert on that. And one thing anytime I ever hear or see anything in the hub or anywhere where people are talking about, well, I really need a loan, or PayPal's offering me this working line of credit, or this loan builder, or this Shopify line of credit. And I just want to be like, no, don't. I mean, I'm not saying don't ever do those things, but a lot of times what will happen is, say Shopify is offering you a line of credit and they give you three options. You can take 50,000, 75,000, or 100,000. Well, even though you probably don't need $100,000, it's being offered to you and your mind just goes crazy, and all the things and ideas of what you could do with this money that you don't necessarily need, but you just do it anyways. And so now you're taking on this debt that you really didn't need to begin with, and only to do what? You're gonna buy more inventory than you need, than you have room for, than your employees are going to be able to keep up with. But 9 times out of 10, you don't have the customers to back up the amount of inventory that you're buying, or you just get so caught up in it. And then all of a sudden you're in a position where, oh crap, now Shopify is basically eating my cash because they take money off the top. Mm-hmm. So they're taking a percentage on my daily sales. Well, great. Now I have no cash in the bank. Well, great. Oh, here's PayPal. PayPal's offering me a line of credit. I should just get this PayPal line of credit because I need money right now because Shopify is keeping all my money. And then it's just like, you're just robbing Peter to pay Paul, and it just never ends. And if I could go back in time, oh my gosh, anytime I ever hear people talk about how they are debt free, or they started debt, Summer, I know you said, you just said something a little bit ago, how you would sell out and then you would get a little more, you would sell out and you'd get a little more, and how much smarter that is than trying to be bigger. Oh, well, that boutique just got moved into a 15,000 square foot warehouse and I'm only in a 5,000 square foot warehouse. I mean, I'm not saying only to make it sound like that, but it's just, you get so caught up in what other people are doing or how they're succeeding. And then you do things that end up being so detrimental to your business and could end up, costing you your entire business because you were trying to rush it too fast. And I'm very transparent. I'm open and honest. And I will say that I got really close to that last year, and we're still getting out of it. But I've learned a lot. I've learned how to budget and look at data and be smarter about what I'm buying and what I need versus want, with employees and delegating responsibilities. Maybe if those 2 employees could be cut into 1 employee, as much as I would hate to have to get rid of one, maybe that's just something you have to do to make your business survive. You just have to be smart about it. But yeah, smarter. You got to be smart because it can catch up to you really quick. And then you're going to look back and really regret, like, why did I do that? I would have been okay if I would have just done this, or didn't do this or this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Two things that you really hit on are really being smart with how to scale your team and your time. And the other, how to scale really your inventory and your data, how to understand what steps to take at what time. Somer, back to you. Tell me more about your process of just kind of understanding what's going to be on your plate versus what you're going to ask help for, when and where.
I think, with what Amanda's saying, I think the reason why I'm also where I'm at in business is because I have been a cash only business for 3 years now. So I did take out some loans at the beginning to get me started, but then I would invest that and then pay off. And I was able to do that. So that really makes me watch my numbers, because when I'm out, I'm out. I don't have a loan. I don't have a credit card. I do cash only. So that really helps me with my inventory. If I don't sell anything today, that means tomorrow I can't put anything out. That's kind of how I work it. so that I'm not putting out too much inventory that I can't sell. And I just kind of really watch that closely. And I'm always kind of checking what I did, prior last year to where we need to be at for this year, seeing what's selling, what's not selling, what needs to be marked down. That's kind of my process, I guess, and maybe why I have scaled. I'm growing, but I'm not scaling huge numbers every year, but I am growing, but it's just a slower process for me. And that I know is because somewhat of me. And, and again, coming down to employees, what I can afford and making sure they're the right fit for me. I guess I'm maybe picky on that. I want to find someone that will stay here for a long period of time and will help with all the things instead of just one thing, because we're just not big enough to be able to just have one person just do shipping right now. One person needs to do shipping, online measurements. Everybody does everything here because we're smaller. So I think that's kind of a big factor as well with where I'm at in my business.
And super important that you've cross-trained your employees in that way, right? That's a part of being lean and making sure that those employees can do multiple things. Talk to me about that process of what it was like for you. And then Amanda, will go to you next about hiring that team for the first time, bringing them on and starting where you're at. And then we can talk with Amanda a little bit more about adding to that team and what that looks like as well.
I guess for me, I just knew right away when I opened my store that I wanted to have a full-time employee. So I know for a lot of people that they work in their store first and then they kind of, work up to that. But I just knew I have 4 children also, the same as Amanda. And I too started as a stay-at-home mom. I went to school for orthodontics. I worked for an orthodontics office and not orthodontics, but a dental assistant. And I worked in an orthodontics office. And after I had our first baby, I had a really hard time bringing her to daycare, and I just struggled with that. So we tried to find something so I could stay home. So again, initially that was my thing. I didn't want to have a store where I had to be here full time and miss out on some of the things. So I knew initially I wanted that full-time employee so that I could still be in the back, marking inventory and, getting home at a decent time, or I could bring my daughter to work with me. All of my girls and my son come to work with me, or my husband. We have not had daycare for 11 and a half years now. So,
so jealous. So jealous.
It's a blessing and it's a curse sometimes, because sometimes it's very hard to get work done with children. But, there's so many times where they're here with me and, when they were young, and they'll be looking in the mirror and just giggling. It's just all those little moments that I would take in that I wouldn't have gotten if my kids were at daycare. So that was just my first thing. And then just teaching them the ways that I wanted my store, how I wanted my store to be portrayed. I would work with them, with the customers, because the customer is our number one priority in the store. Making sure they feel welcome, making sure that they don't feel like they're interrupting anything that we're doing. We're here for them. We're ready for when they walk in the door. We greet them in the first 10 seconds, and we make sure to tell every customer thank you for whether they purchase something or not. We tell them thanks for stopping, so it's not an awkward leave when they leave the store without purchasing something. We want them to know that our door is always open and they can come and go freely however they want and whenever they want. And some customers just come in to talk to us. So that was my main priority. And then just kind of as the business has grown, then it's adding in a little bit more to the job description. So, as we've gone, we get in more boxes, and we're still just a full-time person, and we check in those boxes. I have a part-time girl that she works on Mondays, but then she'll check in boxes. So everyone here kind of knows how everything works. And we do kids as well. So, it's training them on kid sizes, which I feel like is very, very different from adult sizes. And just knowing what the shoe sizes mean, because those I feel like are different. And then we've actually taken on suit and tux rental because we are a small business. So we do a lot of things here, and it's just, again, my full-time gal and I pretty much doing all that. So, and then I take care of all of the importing of the inventory. I'm the photographer. I'm the editor right now. I do all our social media. So it gets to be a lot sometimes.
But you're getting some awesome quality time with your family, which I love. And so many people, right? That's what they want out of business. So I love that this is the business and the life that you've created and designed, and you get to optimize at your pace.
Yeah. And it doesn't always work out that way.
Yeah.
You know, there's a ton of times where I'm here still till 2 a.m. But then there's other times where I'm like, hey, my kid has something at school today, or I'm going to have lunch with my daughter today. And that's what I love, that this allows me to do that.
Absolutely. Amanda, how about you? Tell me about your process of scaling your employees.
I feel like I've listened to quite a few podcasts, and I think one thing that I hear a lot are people complaining about maybe not having the right staff, or having a big turnover, or all that just chaosness of having employees. I started basically by myself, and my first part-time gal, who was in college at the time for accounting, after she was with me for, gosh, I don't know, maybe about a year or so, she graduated and she started getting job offers. And at that point, I saw the need in needing a full-time person, and her and I just clicked so well, just on so many different levels. Just, I mean, if I had to rewrite my will today, I would leave my kids to her. I mean, I can't even say enough good things about her. And she's been with me for, I mean, basically since the beginning, for a good 5 years now. And she is, my CEO, or no, my COO. Yeah, COO. There's too many C's out there. If I were to, God forbid, die in a crash tomorrow in a car accident, my business would still be able to run, and she might even run it smarter because she's I don't know, finding those people is just so important. And I was talking to Summer about this last week, because she was kind of she was kind of venting about some situations that she's been having, and what she's wanting. So yeah, I found my right hand girl. And then after that, so I'll just kind of back it up. Six of my girls, or five, sorry, 5 of my girls have been with me for over 4 years, and I've been in business for 6 years. And for the first, I would say, 6 months, I did it on my own. So I mean, that just shows like they're everything. I feel so lucky that I found them, that Beautique means as much to them, because I feel like that's so important, is that you find people that care about the success of your business, that will go out of their way to, okay, yeah, even though she's in charge of shipping, she might see something or have an idea, or, hey, we should try this. Like, they're all involved, which I feel like is so, so, so important, because sometimes you can get really burnt out when just you or a couple other staff members are the only ones that really ever try to come up with the creative side of things, of staying relevant and ideas for sales and this and that. So yeah, I feel like I've been so fortunate. It's just not something I've had to complain about, thankfully. And I hope I don't ever have to, but yeah, I mean, I got really, really, really lucky. So I guess offering advice or anything like that. I mean, I could offer, like last week when I was talking to Summer, like I was offering her advice on how maybe she could get to a point where she could let go of some of those things that maybe she's not wanting to do all the time anymore, just by, maybe you should look for, you put an ad out there for a full-time salaried position with a few different benefits. You might get more. Well, it's hard in a small town. It's hard to find qualified help because there's only so many people. And so I feel like maybe she would have better luck if if she was, when she is at that point for when she wants to find that person to offer something like that, which might seem scary. I remember when I hired our photographer after we were using stock photos forever and ever, I knew we were at the point where, okay, we really need a photographer. And I offered her a salary that I could not afford, but I knew in the long run, having her and having her professional pictures, and it was a good investment, and it worked out, even though initially it was like, okay, I can't afford that salary that she's asking for. I knew it was going to be okay. So that's just, yeah, I have not had any issues with employees at all. I've been so very fortunate, lucky, to have the right group of girls, and they're definitely there for me. So
well, I think you bring up a really good point. In Summer, we could probably even chat about this. In a cash-based business, sometimes it's hard to pull the trigger when you feel like you're ready to expand, but you just don't know maybe how you're going to pay for it in that moment. And even with us at the hub, when we first started to hire, it was like, man, could I just get some help at home? Like if I could free up myself at home first, someone to help clean or, take the kids a little bit more often, like just starting small. And you guys have, I know, heard me say this in the hub, but it's always like payroll and team are an investment. They're not an expense. So where can I make an investment where someone can help me do the $10 an hour jobs so that I, the business owner, focuses on the $100 an hour jobs, because I'm going to pay myself back tenfold if I start to play my investments accordingly. But it's like those baby steps, those small hinges start to swing a big door when it comes to hiring. Like you said, Amanda, even just putting out the ad, right, to see what you can get and what kind of return that's going to bring in the long run.
Yeah, I agree.
Definitely.
And being small too, it's hard because you don't know exactly what, you need someone, but you don't know exactly what to have them do all the time, if that makes sense.
I think it's just a learning curve of making a list and starting with like what's on your list. You've probably heard me talk about the 4-part to-do list. What's on your list every week that you love to do? What's on your list that brings in revenue? It's a revenue generating activity. And what's the busy work that's holding you back from doing more of that income generating activity? And then finding the right people more than the position. And I think this speaks to what you were saying, Amanda. I've always heard people say, as long as you have the right people on the bus, you can put them in any position. You can always rearrange what they're working on, but you have to have the right people first.
Yes.
Right.
I totally agree with that. You need to find the right person. And that's where we're kind of struggling too.
All right, let's play some business lightning round questions. Sound good?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to ask you both the same question, and you just shoot with your best answer and like a quick why on that answer. Sound good?
Okay. So hopefully we don't interrupt each other, Summer. Okay.
Yeah. This isn't like
we're just gonna like
show with the
blurt
buzzer.
it out. Yes, right. Family Feud.
Family Feud. Yes. Okay. Best promotion you've ever run in your business?
Tiered sales. Urgency is the best thing ever. When you create urgency with your customers, they're gonna spend more money than they even could have time to think about.
True. And we have a big crazy days in July. So July is actually our biggest month.
Which is crazy to me. When she said that to me last week, I'm like, huh?
That is crazy. That July is your biggest month.
Yeah. It's even through December and November, it's July.
Wow. That's awesome. Okay. So on that note, because July is typically everyone else's slow month,
Yes.
What is one thing that you always do in a slow month to grow your business?
That's a question for both of us.
To grow it or to have sales?
To grow it or help with sales, just to keep it going, keep it moving forward.
Events.
Surprise bags. Oh,
Yep.
boom, we did it.
Perfect. Events and surprise bags.
Yeah, surprise bags. Like you have crap that you just can't move anymore. Hey, people will spend whatever. Like here's 3 tops for $30. You don't know what you're gonna get, but you're gonna love it, and they sell well. Girls love surprises. I think about all the FabFitFun box and the Ipsy and all these subscription boxes that we sign up for. And I just cleaned out my bathroom closet the other day of all my stuff. And I was like, I really need to cancel these subscriptions because I have so much crap that never gets used, but we just love surprises. It's like,
You know what? I saw your post about that the
oh
other day
gosh.
and I laughed because we're in the process of moving. And so I just like packed up my bathroom and I was like, where's all this crap coming from?
Exactly. I know.
And yes, I subscribed to those also.
Yeah. And so, but yeah, that's why we do it in at Beautique. I'm just like, okay, well, like I know we all love it. So let's make, and even with shoes, like a lot of times, like I don't know, sometimes I feel like I should have just stuck. I mean, I should have like never even gotten into clothing and just done shoes because I have such a problem with shoes and I buy all the shoes and I want all the brands and I just love all the shoes. But so like we'll even do surprise bags with our shoes, which is kind of, that's a little tough because shoes can run so differently and how they fit depending on the brand, but it still works. People love it. People love surprises.
All right. What is your biggest traffic source and how do you continue to grow it?
So for us, our biggest traffic source would definitely be our VIP group on Facebook. And growing it. I mean, I feel like it's one thing when you talk about Instagram and TikTok and all these places, like it's just, I have to let my employees do that because like for me personally, my VIP group is my bread and butter and that's where I'm most comfortable in. And that's where I feel the closest to my customers. So I like to put things out there. Like last night, The Bachelor was on. And so I made a post about it, like who's watching, or I'm cleaning out my closet and look at all this crap that I have, or, oh my gosh, you guys, look at my laundry. Keeping things like that, just being very transparent, making people remember that you're just a real human at the end of the day is so much fun. And it doesn't all have to be so salesy. So I think that's how we grow it. We just try to have fun. And then we find people are just adding their friends to the group just because we like to goof around. And yeah, it's definitely a huge, it's definitely our biggest traffic source.
And I guess ours is in store. I started in store and just interacting with those customers. That's really my favorite part. And, and then getting them to come in, we do it through Facebook. So, they'll see something new or, we'll post something. We've had, bring in a top and we'll match a cardigan to it. So we try to do fun events. We did a painting event, just things that aren't so super related to clothing and selling, and trying to do some fun things in here too. But that's kind of where we grow the most is in store.
Awesome. How about what's your favorite way to use video?
Not at all.
I would be like, can we ask my photographer to join on this phone call? It's so bad. I feel like sometimes I mean, you Ashley, you know how it is. It's like you can't do everything. And so like video to me is like, I don't personally do it. I feel like it's my employees are way better about doing it. And we've been trying to do TikToks and stuff like that to be fun lately. But, so yeah, I think that's a bad question for me to answer because I just don't. We do, but I don't. So I don't know. That's terrible.
You both bring up a good point, and some are even saying not at all. We talk a lot about the power of video, but you both are great proof that you can have a growing business and maybe you're still not on video yet, or you're intimidated by video or whatever it is. Like it just shows, I was going to say different strokes for different folks. I mean, it's all relative, right?
Exactly. I mean, I think the one problem that we have is just consistency, and how I know it's so important in a business to be consistent. And with like live video and live sales, it's just something that my team and I struggle with because it's like, okay, guys, we really need to do a Facebook Live. And then it's like, oh yeah, we'll win. Oh yeah, okay, we'll talk about that later. And then just never gets talked about again. So it's just, thankfully, sales are still great. It's just, yeah, we just need to be, it's something that we know we need to be better about. We haven't jumped on getting back into it until we know we can be consistent with it.
Totally get it. Okay, next question. Email marketing. How many emails do you send a week? And what's one automation that you have set up?
I feel so stupid here because this would be like, okay, my photographer again. Because she's not just a photographer, she's our creative director, and so she does our emails, she does our marketing too. So I mean, I would say I know she sends 4 to 5 emails a week, but when it comes to like the lists and the segments and all that stuff, like that's something that she does. That's so. Summer.
Three. Well, the creative director, meaning me, we do 3 a week, but our biggest one, I think, and that I get the most responses from is our welcome email or a thank you. I always get, we just send out a general, I guess it's not quite general. We put our own kind of quirk into it, but the thank you email that we send out to each customer after they make a first time purchase, I get so many emails back that are like, oh, you are so welcome. Thanks for being here. Things like that. So just kind of pulling at the heartstrings a little bit, I think, and then that's just in their brain for the next time. Showing appreciation. I think you can't show enough appreciation because they're the only reason why I'm still here. If they're not coming in, then I can't be here. So that's been the biggest one for me.
I love that. It's so authentic and real, and you're building a real relationship with them. And that's what shows through your marketing. That's super smart.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. What is one report or piece of data that you use every single week and is most important to you?
Here again, I would say that myself and
I thought you were going to say your photographer.
I know. Well, I will. I will. She looks at things that I don't really look at as much. Like when we go into our Facebook ads or the Google Analytics, like I'm still so dumb when it comes to that. And I haven't given myself a chance to really learn it, which someday I really need to. But, and then our COO, she has her stuff that she looks at. One thing that I really focus on is, and it's our Market 2 boutique app that we use. It's where all of our inventory is inputted anytime we order. So it's where we keep our budgets in there, how much money we've spent this month, how much money is left to spend. Like there's so many things in there. And so it's a good reminder to me. I look at it a lot just so I know what can I buy, what shouldn't I buy, what is our budget still left for dresses, and I feel so smart saying that now because a year or 2 ago we didn't have a budget, like we just like, oh, that's cute, let's buy it. And so now we've really streamlined everything. Well, this is our budget for tops, bottoms, dresses, and we just really try to stick with that. And so I've been, especially when it comes to finances and just trying to get everything to a good standing to where we're not relying on other ways of helping or getting us like lines of credit and all that stuff. I've just been really focused on that and trying to stay on task and track.
So good. Yeah. So having your business, your classification structure, right?
Right.
Understand
Yes.
your return, your inventory on hand, your aging, and now you have a budget and know what you can buy into. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Summer, how about you?
And I also look at those things, but most of the things, because we're small, I already know what we're putting out.
Mm-hmm.
And then I always look at every single thing that we sold for the day. So that kind of gives me a general idea of what I need to order, what's selling well, what, maybe we need to push, those kinds of things. And then obviously my bank account app, because I'm a cash only. So, I always check that, see how much is coming in, and then going off of the other, what I need to order to have coming back into the store.
Absolutely. So same thing. You have a great idea and you know what's turning, so you know where to fill holes.
Yes.
Awesome. All right. What is your most, I'll say like must-have app that you use? It could be an app on your phone. It could be a Shopify app. It's like a tool that you can't live without.
Market 2.
Awesome. Market 2 boutique.
Yes. Yeah.
I want to.
I want to say TikTok, but because it's fun. But so Summer, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Canva is a really good one just because I make all of our marketing stuff off of there. And I had another one, but I can't remember now.
No worries. Canva is a must-have for sure. All right.
That was my other one.
What one?
Lightroom.
Oh, Lightroom. And talk to me about this. I know there's always so many questions about presets. Did you buy some presets for Lightroom, or how do you maximize it?
So I have kind of the creation cloud. So which you pay a monthly fee, and I have Lightroom. I have Photoshop because I'm my own photographer, so I had to learn all that. So on my phone, I did purchase presets, but on my laptop, I can make my own. So, which is super simple. So depending on where we're at, so right now we're obviously inside because it's wintertime. So I have a preset on there for our white background, and I can just click that button and I barely have to make any adjustments to it. And then when we go outside, I can make a new preset for, say if we go to a park and it's a little bit cloudy, I can have a preset for like a cloudy day. I can have a preset for a sunny day. So in there, I know how to make my own. And then on the app, I just purchased some presets that work really well for me. And I pretty much use the same preset. So all of our Facebook and everything look the same. I don't jump around with different presets. So it's kind of all the same formation and all our same brand.
I feel like that's important too when you have a staff of people who are all uploading pictures, whether it be selfies or flat lays or whatever it is. If you, with something like Lightroom, if you have presets in there, so anytime you're editing a picture, so then it doesn't look like it's coming from 7 different phones anytime you post a picture. So yeah, the presets are definitely really nice.
Yeah, I love it. I know that's probably, I couldn't live without that more than Canva. I use that every single day.
All right. Tell me about your favorite podcast, mentor, and book. Where do you go to fill your cup?
Summer?
It's the Beautique Hub. You're the only podcast I really listen to.
Woohoo!
Yes, right? And mentor, honestly, it's been Amanda. Anytime I have a question, anything, I ask Amanda and I know she's going to tell me the truth. She's always been open and honest about everything. Or, if it's something dumb, she's like, don't do it. And book, that's a terrible question for me because I honestly don't have time with 4 kids and, the store. I don't, but I did listen to Profit First on through an ebook. So it's kind of like reading, I guess. And I did like that.
Perfect. That counts. And Mike Michalowicz is awesome.
Yes, I love him. He's great.
Man, Amanda, that's so cool. Can I just pause right here for a second and say this? We get so many questions in the hub often about where do I find a mentor? And I think that's kind of an overstated word a lot of the time. You just need a boutique bestie. Like you need someone who's raw and real and honest with you and doesn't give a crap about what you think, but wants the best for you. And that's what you guys have demonstrated today. And I think that's super awesome.
Right. And I mean, I know there's people out there who have tried to, I always get so many questions. So I'm just going to start charging. Well, I would if you can help somebody, just freaking help them. Don't let them go through the same mistakes that you went through. And a lot of it, just be very transparent and open. And I feel like that's how I've always been. I'm a very honest and open person. And it's just silly to try to do it on your own without somebody to talk to or to pay somebody to be your mentor when you could have somebody that is going to be more honest with you.
Yeah. And you'll always get what you give.
Exactly.
Always. All right. Tell me yours. Favorite book, podcast, and mentor.
I haven't read a book since 50 Shades of Grey. But
I have a theme and I didn't finish it.
Oh my God. I just haven't. And I have books on my nightstand. I have Mindset. And I have, I have Profit First and an intermittent fasting Epstein book because that looked interesting, but I haven't cracked them open. I'm really interested. I did also get Mindset on Audible, and I try to listen to it when I'm working out. Same with podcasts and like books and listening to stuff. It's hard for me to shut my brain off long enough to listen. The only, like, Ashley, I mean, I please feel flattered. Today, while I was showering, I was listening to your podcast with Alana with 11 Oaks. And I'm just like, because that's like the only time I can listen, or if I'm driving in the car for a long distance. Otherwise, like my staff, they have so many murder podcasts and stuff that they listen to, and I've tried, but like if I'm typing an email or if I'm doing something on Facebook, if like 10 minutes goes by, I'm like, what the heck are these people even talking about? I can't even keep up. So yeah, I definitely listen to the Boutique Chat. And then I really love listening to Rachel Hollis. I've gone to a couple of her events, and I actually signed up for a half marathon in December that she's putting on. And I haven't ran a mile since I think 6th grade. So it's going to be really interesting. But I'm just like, hey, why not? Like, let's do this. So.
That is amazing. Number one, the marathon is amazing.
I mean, yeah, why not?
Yes, absolutely. And number two, can I just say, usually people come up to me and they're like, hey, I fell asleep listening to your voice last night. But you just topped it because you were listening to me in the shower. So thanks for that.
It's the only time I can like focus. I mean, otherwise there's like kids and dogs and husband, I should say. I don't have more than one. And there's just like people and distractions everywhere, and it just gets crazy. So yeah. And mentor, I couldn't even, like, I don't even know if I could say one mentor, because I feel like I talk to so many people, like boutique besties. Otherwise I definitely listen to a lot of Gary V and Rachel Hollis. I know I said that already. I guess they're not necessarily my mentors. Don't talk to them one-on-one, but yeah, I just have a whole handful of people that Somer, for example, Katie with Iverson. I mean, there's so many of them.
I love it. All right, Somer, second to last question. I know we've monopolized both of your guys' time all day today. Technology failures and all. We're still kicking. Second to last question. I know you're both moms, right? You both have busy lives. And we talked about the reason that both of you really got into this business on some level had to do with balance, which I hate the word balance, but you know what I mean? You have things that you're juggling. Somer, you've got 4 kids. Talk to me about, you bring them to work with you, but how do you feel like you get the most out of those relationships, both with your family, with your customer, and feel good about where you place your time throughout the day? That idea of balance, where does it come from?
Yeah, I don't like the word balance either. I think it's like a coexistence.
Mm-hmm.
If I just feel like we need to be part of all of it. So my kids will come here and they help, and then we'll be at home and, we'll help them. It's just kind of, I guess that's the balance. And some nights I'm here late. Sometimes I can be home and pick them up from school. So it's a forever changing every day, depending on the season, what's happening, if we have an event going on. So I just feel like making the kids a part of it is kind of our balance. Making my husband a part of it, so we get to see each other, because sometimes I'm here a lot and we have another business, so he's in that. And so it's just, it's making the kids involved so that they can see us working and know that has to happen in order for us to be able to have a fun weekend, a getaway, or, taking them to their cheer or whatever. They know that we have to work first in order to be able to do that.
Man, so true. They learn so many lessons early on, right?
Yeah. And I guess our one thing that really we try to do often is to sit down and have supper together. That's kind of our thing. And then my husband and I will cook dinner together and have a beer together while we're cooking dinner and talking about our day.
Love it. How about you, Amanda?
Balance is something that I feel like there's no right answer to that. I feel like it's something that's brought up all the time, especially I see it a lot in the hub, on in the Facebook group and everything, where people are asking how they can find some kind of balance in their life with business owning and family and friends. I don't feel like there's one right answer. I feel like everybody's different. What works for somebody might not work for another person. And I feel like the trick is to just figure out what balance looks like for you and your family and how it's going to work for you. I have 4 kids and they're all over in ages. I have an 18-year-old, or 15-year-old, and then I have a 6-year-old and a almost 4-year-old. So there's the teenagers and toddler life is so crazy in its own, because like they're always doing different things. My husband's in the military, so that's a huge factor for us because he's gone a lot. He has drilled, and I mean, it's crazy. But like Somer said, one thing that we make sure to always do is eat together every night. And when we do, phones are put away, and it's just time that we can have to each other where there's no distractions and we can talk about the day. And I took one of my older boys to market with me in August, which was very interesting for him, I'm sure, but I'm not sure he would ever want to come again. But it's something that is a goal of mine. So like, I want you all to come with me at least once, because I want you to see what I do. Because sometimes I'm like, do you even know what I do? Like, do you have any idea? And they're boys. I think they're just like, and they're teenagers. So they're just, their heads in the clouds. But yeah, just keeping them involved as much as you can. So they know exactly like why you're working all the time, what you're doing on your phone all the time. No, I'm not just chatting with my friends or sitting on the phone talking to my girlfriends. And I think, one negative, I guess I would say, is having friends is really hard, especially friends that you had before owning a business, to keep those friendships. It really takes a lot of work on both ends to make it a priority to try to still meet up or grab lunch or whatever it might be. I found that now a lot of my friends are my employees, which I know is a big no-no, but I just can't help it. And, and then customers of mine, like there's so many people locally that I've met that are now really good friends of mine. And yeah, I don't know. I think, like I said, it changes for everybody. It just depends on what is important in your life and your family, and just do whatever you got to do to make it work.
Absolutely. All right. Well, last question together, guys. Again, I know we came together today just to talk about kind of 2 businesses, again, same area, started same time, just different paths, but really so many of the same philosophies now that we talk about all of this. And I love hearing that from you guys and the way you lean on one another. I just want to close today with kind of leaving everyone with the greatest piece of advice that you wish you would have known earlier in your business. What's one thing that you just want to leave with those who are listening today about your experience, and something that you wish you would have known that they now can take home with them?
I feel like a broken record in this saying this, but bigger is not better, smarter is better, better is better. Like, don't rush things. Do not rush things. If I could just tell myself that 6 years ago, to just not push it and just, let it scale on its own. And if it got to a point where it seemed like the ball was rolling too fast and I needed to slow it down, you need to learn how to pump the brakes a little bit. Otherwise, you can get so burnt out so fast and make so many mistakes that it could end up costing you your business. So, thankfully I've learned from everything, and I feel like that's important. But yeah, if I could go back, I would just tell myself to not rush things and just let it go organically. And I guess the best way I can say it.
Yeah. Have peace for where you are right now, right? Not compare your middle to someone else's height, or your beginning to someone else's middle.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How about you, Somer?
I would definitely say, just from that last part, it just popped another thought into my head, is to, enjoy the moment of where you are, because nowadays I feel like everyone is just so busy, and I feel like time just passes by so quickly. And my other points would be stay in your own lane. That I think is super important. Trust your gut and be consistent.
I love that. All of them. And being consistent so many times, don't you think, Summer, when we're in that mode of we're going to try this because so-and-so's doing it, or we're going to try this because we heard it was a great idea, but we try it once and then we don't stick with it. And then we don't ever see the results that we're looking for. But just going back to being consistent and letting it play out, then we start to see those results that we're after.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I feel like you have to, I know in our business, like we have made it a point that we need to try everything for at least 30 days, make it a consistent thing where we're trying to all like keep with it for at least 30 days. Like we started doing a 9 at 9 on Saturdays, where it's 9 new arrivals that we're going to be getting in on Saturday mornings. Cause sometimes Saturdays are, at least online, are a little slower because people are busy. And so that was just something like, let's try it. We're going to give it 4 Saturdays of at 9 at 9. And if it's successful, we'll keep doing it. So, and even sometimes depending on what it is, you might want to give it more time than just a month, but yeah, you have to stick with stuff to really know if it's going to make a difference or not. Cause it's all about training your customer. And if you only do it once, they're not going to be trained in you doing that or know to look for whatever that is because you're not sticking with it. So.
Man, absolutely. Well, Summer, Amanda, thank you both so much for the idea and for leading by example for so many in our community. And you both have been a part of the hub for as long as I can remember. You've been huge, very active parts of the hub. So I just want to commend you and thank you for that as well. And thank you for sharing your stories today.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much for having us. It's been awesome.
It's been so great.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode. We hope that you loved it. Don't forget to hit subscribe and leave a rating and review down below for a chance to be one of our featured listeners each and every week. For more information on our spirit of community over competition and how to access complete show notes and bonus downloads from our guests, head on over to theboutiquehub.com and join the community. We'll see you next week.